Hi, this is Khalil Golivala. This is the BIPOC Manager podcast. In today's episode, I'm super excited to have Kapil Kalra with us. Kapil is a co-founder of Naturemary, which is a biology-based body care company with a range of cosmeticals and wellness products located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Kapil, please.
Thank you so much, Cleo. I really appreciate you having me today.
Thank you so much, Kapil. One of the things that I love about your story is just about your father. Your father, how much he means to you, and how he kind of put that spirit of entrepreneurship into you. Can you talk a bit about that, please, Kapil?
Yes, absolutely. So my dad came to Canada in 1974 from India. He landed in Quebec City. So as Indian, Hindi-speaking, someone born in India, landing in a new country on top of that Quebec, where English obviously wasn't the first language, he had his fair share of challenges. He did have his sister that was living in Quebec at the time, and her husband. So they had sort of welcomed him in, and yeah, his entrepreneur journey starts at a very young age. So when he landed in Quebec, he started a clothing company, and he was selling women's fashion in Quebec. So he quickly had to learn French and learn about fashion, and that was kind of something that interested him. But yeah, it's sort of where his journey started. He went back to India in 1979, married my mom, and they came back and moved to Nova Scotia, and that's really where where all the magic really started for my dad. So when he came to Nova Scotia, he opened his first business was a restaurant. It was a pizza place and donair place, and my grandfather was there with him, and slowly started learning about Canadian life and meeting and interacting with his customers, and that's sort of where it started. I was born in 1981, and shortly after that, we moved from Halifax to the other side of the harbor, which is Dartmouth. And at that time, he started his very first Indian grocery store. So he was very, very well known in the Indian community. The Indian community was actually very small at the time, but he was providing a service to many people that were there that didn't have access to stuff that they enjoyed back home. Yeah, fast forward for me. I mean, I went to school in Dartmouth. After high school, my dad had a series of dollar stores, gift stores, um, and I actually moved to Montreal right after high school. I tried to kind of get on my own too there a little bit and sort of figure out what life was all about. I moved back to Nova Scotia around 2004, and that's when my dad was a little concerned. He was like, I was sort of all over the place. I didn't really have any real direction in terms of what I wanted to do in life. I knew that I didn't want to sort of be tied down to the same thing. I really wanted to sort of be my own boss, much of a reflection of what I actually saw my dad living. So he was really concerned for me. He bought me a Canada Post outlet, and he told my mom, it was a funny story. He told my mom that regardless of what I end up doing in my life, I'm guaranteed an income here with this business that he bought me. And it just wasn't my passion. It wasn't something of interest to me. And I really wanted to sort of get out there on my own. So I did that for a few years with him, and then my sister sort of took over, and then that's sort of where I started my journey. I really got into computers and consumer electronics. I had a cousin that was in Ontario that was an entrepreneur, very, very successful, and really wanted to sort of follow in his footsteps. But yeah, no, I can say that my dad definitely laid down the baseline in terms of that initial thought process of sort of being your own and being your own man and sort of being able to develop and build something for his family.
Yeah, no, that's such an amazing thing because I find that out for like being very broad here for a lot of minorities and immigrants. I feel like the first generation you would call like a small business owner, now
Yes,
entrepreneur, and sometimes in communities they're not maybe given the most respect where it's like a doctor, lawyer, accountant,
very true, very true.
but they're building equity. They're building equity
Yeah,
for themselves. They're building equity
it's
for
true.
their children, and they're trying to. And again, and now we have a whole generation switch where everybody wants to become an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to for themselves.
It's so true because yeah, no, at that time you're absolutely correct. I mean, it was the working class professional that was the one that was respected, and the entrepreneur or the business owner was definitely not the one that that sort of garnered that respect. Fast forward now, roles are absolutely reversed, where people want to have the freedom and and be able to do what they want to do and on their time and sort of build something generationally for their family. It's a really exciting thing that we're in exciting times now. And I lost my dad about 10 years ago now, and really wish that he could sort of see what we've built. But again, it's built off of his foundation of what I learned. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Kapil. And, and speaking about family as well, like you've co-founded Naturemary, which your wife. Can you talk about that process? Like, what was that like? Working with her to launch this company.
Yeah, very interesting. So my wife and I, Sonia, we've always worked in some capacity together. I know I've had numerous businesses in the past, and she was either helping me sort of stay organized with bookkeeping, really kind of keeping me organized. I continue to scale my other businesses, and Sonia was sort of she's I guess I'll start with her background. So she's a biologist and a neuroscientist from Dalhousie University, but really never worked in her field. She had a business that was run through Alberta Health Services with home cares. So they owned homes that they would take care of people that had acquired brain injury. So Sonia's application of her education was a little bit into the medical side here, but more on the business side. 2017, 2018, we were both sort of at a crossroads in terms of where our careers were going. And Sonia actually suffered from a health condition called PMDD, which is really a debilitating chronic condition. And that really had limited her ability to do a lot, month over month. So she discovered CBD, and CBD really changed her life. And she was really on this journey of sort of first as a researcher understanding what CBD was doing in her brain and her body to sort of help with her symptoms, but more just sort of diving into this journey of women's health and really focusing on really helping other people. So when I came on board, so 2017, 2018, it was sort of the brewing year of kind of figuring out what we could do. I told her CBD was fantastic, but how do we scale this business outside of a highly regulated market? So her research background sort of takes her back to the drawing board, and she discovers terpenes. And terpenes essentially are bioactive molecules that are fragrances. So when you cut into an orange, when you smell a rose, those are terpenes. And those terpenes have fantastic benefits for our body. So we discovered a particular group of terpenes that we've sort of integrated in our proprietary formulas that act like CBD, but don't come from a highly regulated plant, which is cannabis. And that was sort of the birth of Naturemary. So we started with body care, now really focused on whole body health. So pain relief, managing inflammation, things like that. So yeah, it started out of a health need for Sonia, and then it sort of blossomed into this really big thing that we never really saw happening, but it's been very exciting.
Amazing, Kapil. I want
Yeah.
to switch tracks a little bit because where what I love about your story is talking about family, working, building equity. But at the same time, what I love to know about you is is there something about your background, like your culture we grew up with, that's sort of that gives you an advantage over other people? Because I feel like I feel like we live in a society where being the other is a disadvantage. I'm like, no, there's
Yeah.
uh,
Great question. It's funny. I constantly get I hear that all the time. Oh, you're so different. The way that you do things is, I'm very. There's a guy, Jake Carls. He runs Midday Squares, a very successful company that's it's like a high protein chocolate company. And he says something about being unapologetically authentic. And I think that when you can comfortably be yourself, and not really worry about what other people are going to say, I think that is a superpower within itself. I think if you give yourself the ability to not really worry about the feedback or the comments or anybody that's sort of trying to get in the way of your mission, it really gives you a leg up and an advantage. I think where I come from, being born in Nova Scotia, particularly in Dartmouth, it was you had to kind of learn very quickly that you've got to sort of hang on to your morals and really kind of ride for yourself. And that's like I said, all my life I've done that. I've had the support of my family that knows that I can be a little nutty at times, but I think there is that fine line between passion and just being a little crazy, because it's the risk takers that are the ones that are rewarded, and that's a motto that I kind of keep in my head. So yeah, I think I just push forward, just being myself. I don't try to fit in anybody else's box. Even when it comes to selling cosmetic and beauty, body care products and wellness products, I never imagined that I would be in this position in terms of selling a product. I mean, I'm a sales guy at the end of the day, but it's really more the passion and sort of the wellness that we want to bring everybody else, and that's what fuels me and feeds my hunger. And it's exciting. I wake up every day ready to, I think when you enjoy what you do when you wake up in the morning, it doesn't feel like work. It just, you get to it, and it's really exciting.
amazing, Kapil. No, but before we wrap up this interview, I want to check, is there anything that you want to mention, anything you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I think in particular, we are really focused, and just a kind of a little, selfless plug here. Nature Mary as a whole. I mean, people that are getting to know me, I'm really active on LinkedIn. I do a lot of community stuff. We're really involved with Calgary Economic Development, and a lot of different industries and agencies. And the biggest thing for me is really, getting it's about messaging. I think it's about impact and messaging. So when I first started in business, I think we often get clouded with, oh, I'm going to make $1 million, and I'm going to change my life. But I think the true value is what we're going to do for other people, and how we impact their lives. So a big part of what we do now is impact. We don't focus on how many bottles we sold and what retailers. I mean, we're very proud of that, but I think it's about how many people's lives have we impacted. And I think that's sort of our driving force and factor now. I think both on a personal level and professional level. And I think that's allowed us to succeed in many, many different ways. And yeah, we can just see the growth. The growth trajectory looks fantastic. But it all starts with our customer, our core cause of what we do, which is making an impact. So yeah, I think that's what's really exciting about what we do, and we continue to look forward to everything else that the future holds.
Amazing, Kapil. No, you were just such an inspiration. Like I remember seeing this
Thank you.
photo of like I think it was like it was like a painting of Tupac and giving it to you as a gift. And I was just like, it was just like the love you put out in the community and all around you, people are showing that back to you as well.
Yes, absolutely. We are very, very honored that we've been so well received. But like I said, I mean, our mission has just begun, so we've got a long way to go. But we're excited. The ride's fun, and we get to meet so many like-minded individuals, and I really love the fact of being able to really let the future generations know that entrepreneurship is a gateway to so many brilliant things, especially people of color, because what, we have disadvantages. As much as people say that they're riding for people of color and women owned and everything else, we know that there's still that disconnect. So I want to be, and we want to be, part of that story going forward. That young entrepreneurs, especially of color, have an opportunity out there to make something special happen.
Amazing, Kapil. Now, in terms of if anybody wants to kind of learn more about you, learn more about Nature Mary, what's the
Yeah.
best way to do that?
Yeah, so naturemary.com is our website. Follow us on social media. So our Facebook is facebook.com/naturemary. Our Instagram is Instagram under naturemary underscore. But yeah, just naturemary.com. Follow us on social media. Follow me on LinkedIn, because I like to stay active and engaged with everybody from all industries. Yeah, so looking forward to continue to network and sort of building building this thing together.
Amazing, Kapil. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.